The Software Leaders Uncensored podcast, where tech leaders grow beyond the code.
You're listening to Software Leaders Uncensored, the raw, real talk podcast for tech execs tired of buzzwords and BS. I'm Steve Taplin, CEO, author, and currently writing my second book about what I've learned from building 30 ventures, facing 20 failures, and achieving 10 wins. I've taken companies all the way through going public, franchise companies nationwide, and raised tens of millions of dollars. The common thread with all of my ventures and my secret sauce has been building custom software to differentiate the user experience, the product, what we're doing, and make it more appealing for investors and for exits. Now through Sonatify, I help tech leaders scale smarter with elite nearshore software engineers who move fast and deliver. Each episode, I sit down with real tech leaders to talk about what's working, what's broken, and what actually matters. So let's dive in. Today, I'm very fortunate to have Lena, and I'm probably going to pronounce your name wrong, but bear with me, Skliarova-Mordvinova, and I will let you correct me on that. I apologize. Lena has 22 plus years of AI expertise, is an AI architect, an entrepreneur, board member, a strategy advisor, a true expert in AI and software development. Lena, welcome.
Thank you so much, Steve. Thank you so much for having me.
And please pronounce your name correctly, so as I probably botched it up.
It's Skliarova-Mordvinova.
Right. Thank you. Well, Lena, please take 1 to 2 minutes and tell our listeners about your background and the journey of your career.
Thank you. Thank you, Steve. So, like you said, my career started quite long ago, so it's almost 23 years already. But that's when I started working on the AI and data science. And at that point, it was in the times when you didn't have Python or any of these beautiful tools and libraries, and you wanted a neural network, you go and make yourself a neural network.
Okay.
So back in the days, that's when I started my first company. It was specifically dedicated to data mining and data science. And it was quite a long journey for me. For 12 years, I've been working for that company, delivering this products across the globe. And that was a journey that also taught me entrepreneurship, taught me a lot of basics in software development. And actually, it was very exciting because at that point, it was still very fresh and still not so much AI was going around in data science. Around the same time, I was working in Ukrainian Space Research Institute, where we were doing image recognition. At that time, also based on neural networks that we were making on our own. And since then, continued my persistent interest in AI and data science and everything connected to this. Over 7 years ago, me and my co-founder, we started the Good Face project, which is at this point AI-powered PLM for personal care products. It's a platform where chemists create their products from the scratch, can check all the regulations, like hundreds of regulations in 1 second, can verify whether their formula is non-toxic, and if something is toxic, then what exactly. It does various predictions for products, sentiments, like what ingredients are actually changing the sentiment of the consumer. So we went full blown all the capabilities that AI is giving, and this allows shrinking the creation from like 6 months to a couple of weeks, because we actually can undergo less regulatory, which typically take a lot of time.
So the Good Face project, so you're helping manufacturers who are trying to create new products bring
Yes.
it to market faster by checking regulations. And I was hoping, like Good Face, you can make me look better, but it sounds like it's more for the manufacturer side.
Well, during our long journey, we did have a B2C app. It was absolutely free, and it was actually dedicated to personalization of products. So that feature existed at some point. It just, during the evolution of the company, you go through many pivotal points, and fortunately that was left behind one of the points.
Okay, hey, I started this off talking about 30 ventures, 20 failures, and 10 wins. I get it.
Yeah, until this day, I don't think it was a failure. It was just something that financially, unfortunately, was not so beneficial as having a B2B business.
Gotcha. So you're with the Good Face Project, you're using AI and data science to help cut through regulatory regulation, FDA, all sorts of different
Yes.
regulations worldwide to help them bring their product to market faster. That's amazing. What building, and I can't say I'm an expert in this space. What makes building software for this space uniquely challenging?
What uniquely challenging is actually that in order to do that, you need to know all the ingredients in the world. And
That sounds like a lot.
yeah, it's not just chemical ingredients. It also, if you think plants and all the other aspects, it actually explodes. And this is where AI lives. This is where the core that feeds the data to the platform is digesting the whole like millions and millions, actually hundreds of millions of ingredients, figuring out what is good, what is bad, what is regulated, cleans that data, organizes, and then puts it into the platform. This is where AI, actually, like the core AI happens, is the knowledge about chemistry, predicting toxicity, predicting whether some ingredient is carcinogenic. And I find it very fascinating that actually using AI, we can do predictions for ingredients that are actually were not and will not be explored by chemists for their toxicity, just because they're kind of insignificant, not everywhere, rare. And so that piece of knowledge is missing, and AI is ready to fill in the gap.
Interesting. So all this data, how do you ensure your platform and your models stay accurate, clean, compliant? I mean, we're talking about a heck of a lot of data here and constantly changing regulations.
It took a lot of time. It is a combination of human knowledge and AI.
Okay.
AI ends, a human has to pick up. And actually, I think it's a paradigm which is true for many areas. AI can take us, and like I am like a long time standing advocate for AI and data science, but I still think that we need a human in the chain. Whatever you build, or how many guardrails you put on it, you still need somebody to verify it. And so in our chain, we actually always check the data. So humans are in the loop, the toxicologists, chemists verify that the information is correct. So there are, of course, self-checking approaches where we verify data from multiple sources, make sure like everything is adding up correctly. We create models that do some predictions, and then we try to verify them via articles, scientific papers. So this all, and if you build so many systems, I'm pretty sure you know what I'm talking about. It's a of pipes, right? So like you're laying out pipes where information is going through them and hopefully getting to humans at the end.
So you've been a web developer, you've been a founder of numerous companies. I know you're active in incubator environments and companies. What got you? What drew you into the Good Face Project and your current mission?
It was interest in the task, because that's when we started this company. The interest was actually how do we solve something that is seemingly almost unsolvable. It was very interesting. Basically, when we started, the idea was actually personalization, to figure out what works for your skin and for your persona. And when we realized that just to do that, we need to know all the ingredients and everything about the chemistry, such task actually sparks interest.
Gotcha.
That was a moving point for me. Like that was a challenge I wanted to solve, and I'm proud to say it's working.
Awesome. So tell us about some current projects you're working on and additional features you're rolling out.
Well, currently, I think everybody is chasing all the new things in AI. Whatever you can do, adding agents, whatever you can do, adding new models. Just, I don't know, how about you yourself? Sometimes feel lost in all the news and updates of all the new LLMs that were released during one day?
The rapid pace of new AI tools, agents, LLMs being rolled out, it's definitely hard to keep up with.
Yes, and then their quality, it gets better, it gets worse. You need to test everything, you need to check 8 billion, 2 billion, you need to basically keep moving all the time to figure out what works. It's at this point, it's impossible to stop because you start drowning. And then we are attaching agents. Agents are very interesting. They're on one side, they're hype. And on another, if done properly and used properly, they are like a next level of automation that we were always trying to build, right? All those connections, trying to figure out how to connect emails to Slack, to notifications, to the system, to like all the possible bells and whistles. It becomes a hard thing. And it's now mostly about figuring out what can be automated. And this is something that can pick your brain like every day. I feel like all the time thinking about agents and trying to figure out where can I put them in so that they actually would be used.
It's with the complex environment you've set up, with the amount of data you have, with the predictive models you have. Tell us about your current engineering team, your current tech stack, what you like. Fire away.
Well, our current engineering team is actually mostly based in Ukraine. They're brilliant people, very smart, very talented, and I love working with them. So it was always very enjoyable.
Ukraine has done an amazing job of breeding top quality software developers, no doubt. And my heart goes out to what's going on there and the challenges in the country. But I would absolutely agree that from a country perspective, it's just the focus around quality of software engineering has been phenomenal.
Yes, so many talented people, and I kind of keep admiring how many more people actually are there with their talents and their knowledge. So the stack, you can think of, it's kind of almost standard, Python, AWS, React, Postgres, sometimes Mongo. So all that stuff that you would hear. So I would say that the most interesting thing at this point is the stack of LLMs. Coming back to this question, because they are actually changing the quality of products and what we're doing. And I would say that for a very long time, I was a fan of Mistral, because comparing to many other models, it was giving very good results for our specific tasks. But at this point, whatever we're doing, we were using lately at least 5 to 8 different versions of LLM, Llama, Mistral, like all the possible things that are like literally launching every week, and we were reapplying this code. So I would say that currently uh, the focus on technologies that are used will be shifting more and more into trying to figure out what can be done with, including coding, including testing. So that is also a shift that we're observing, and definitely embracing more and more of, especially for QA, it's super important, I would say, like embracing AI. It's reducing so much time.
We've done around QA, around creating documentation. That's where we've seen a lot of the efficiencies.
Yeah.
Mark Zuckerberg of Meta had a pretty bold article today that he said within 5 years, he thinks 60% of he'll need 60% less software engineers at the company based on the advancement of AI. I call bullshit. I think that's a pretty aggressive claim. To your point that you said earlier on the show, it still does require human intervention and human decision making, but there's certainly tons of tasks, and we're just scratching the surface how it can make you more productive. What's your take on that? Zuckerberg had a pretty bold statement there. I think he scared the crap out of his engineering team.
That's a different question. You get more productive, or I think you might observe the same thing because you're dealing with a lot of engineering teams and you're talking to many people. is actually it's harder for junior engineers to find job and to enter the market.
No doubt. That's a real problem today.
So from what I know from my observations, it actually lasts for a couple of last years. So maybe not really linked to spike of AI in coding, but I think that it will be harder from now on. And whenever somebody is hiring an engineer, everybody's interested in senior, middle
Yes.
or senior. So that is a new challenge that is coming up with AI, is that actually in order to become an engineer at this point, you need to be right away senior engineer, which is kind of tricky.
Yes, it is. Especially in remote environments, it makes it even harder to learn, and nobody wants more people logged into their systems than absolutely necessary, and it gets challenging.
But also another shift, what is that I'm observing is that, you know how a couple of years ago, you would notice that people are actually almost trying to avoid engineers who are over some age.
Yes.
It happened. I think it actually passed. So now everybody is more open to people with experience, and they don't mind having somebody who is maybe a bit older than before.
So, a big buzzword out there right now is about vibe coding and kind of breaking all the rules, using AI to get something done quickly and innovatively, which certainly has its benefits, but it's hard to scale something from that. You almost have to rebuild it, but I think it's a good wave for new ideas. What's your thoughts on the vibe coding buzzword and trend?
It's very interesting because it's like a wave of self-disruption. So it is easy to make a website. It is easy at this point to make some very light project. I'm not speaking of something super complex, like, let's say good face project, right? It's still impossible at this point. But to make a simple system, a simple website, it's very easy. And like you said, vibe coding is a thing now. More and more people are doing this, and what happens is that the value of what people are creating is actually diluted. So if before it took a team of 10 people to make some project, it took them some time, it took them some effort, like maybe there had to be some investments happening. So it was a process. Now maybe the same thing can be done by two, maybe even one person, if this person knows what he or she is doing. It just means that this is becoming more and more repeatable. And what's going to happen is people will be doing this more and more, and then the value is just going down. It's like inflation in coding, in projects, in startups. It's a very strange, I must admit. And actually, I'm also writing a book, and the
Tell
topic
us about it. What's your book you're writing about?
is, and like, if you don't mind, I will interview you later. The topic is actually inflation of information,
Okay.
because over time the information was super valuable. It was sacred. It was cherished. It was stored in libraries, and to produce one book took a lot of time. At this point, to produce a book takes no time. To produce a video with AI takes not so much time, right? And so the information and all the articles that are now generated with AI is actually going down. The quality, the number, and at some point, I almost feel like we will turn back to pre-chat GPT era, and we will be looking for books that were created before that time.
You mean actual authentic books that have the true author's thoughts and not all AI generated?
Yes, and actually, which is way scarier, is they have information that was more verified, right? Because I'm pretty sure you heard about the story about the lawyer who came to some hearings with a made-up case that previously happened, and he just got this information from ChatGPT. it was totally made up. And it's just one of the cases that we're looking at, but it will be happening more and more. Unverified information is exploding.
Well, and the younger generation gets their news from things like TikTok and Instagram, and that's more of an exaggeration, but yes, things you're getting off ChatGPT or Copilot or any of these are not necessarily verified. It's what the model's spitting out. So your book is talking about all the data out there and getting back to authenticity. Is that a fair way of summarizing it?
About that and about how it will change the business itself, because that has a huge implication for all branches of businesses that are right now running. Think of all the, for example, reporting companies. So they can be a multi-billion business just producing reports. What will happen when you can do this almost the same or even better from tools that are available now on the market? I mean, people already are questioning value of reports. Still, there is this component of human value, which will probably take us through this time, but the shift is huge.
Gotcha. What's your expected release of this book? Will this be this year, next year? What are you targeting?
We'll see. I'm targeting next year.
All right, it's a process doing a book, to say the least, and so I'll be excited to hear more about that. Lena, you've been very successful in the realm of AI, data science, and starting businesses. What advice would you give to aspiring female tech leaders to trying to break into AI?
Well, I would give them an advice of going and trying to do this, because when I was writing my first software single-handedly, I did this after work. I would come back from work. It was 7, 8 o'clock in the evening. I would sleep for 15 minutes and then I would go and work until like 1 o'clock. And this is
The life of an entrepreneur.
it is not easy. It might be painful, but if you keep doing, you keep going, it will take you to your goal.
Gotcha. And I am a big believer of you have to work harder and smarter than everyone else to make your dreams come true and to make it happen. And you got to be willing to fail more than you win and be able to learn from it.
Yeah, I'm on the same page with it.
Fantastic. Well, Lena, thank you so much for getting uncensored with us today. Excited to see how you shape the next chapter of the Good Faith Project and tech and AI leadership at large. Any final shout outs or advice for tech leaders you'd like to give here as we're closing out the show?
Be mindful of your calmness. AI will happen. We just need to make it.
That is very good advice. Thank you, Lena. That's it for this episode of Software Leaders Uncensored. I'm Steve Taplin. If this episode sparked something, share it, subscribe it, pass it along, stay bold, and keep building. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.